Jacky Jhaj, a 39-year-old British national and convicted pedophile, orchestrated a series of chilling, elaborate stunts that shocked the world, culminating in a grotesque mock wedding to a 9-year-old Ukrainian girl at Disneyland Paris in June 2025. His criminal history includes a 2016 conviction for sexual activity with two 15-year-old girls, followed by a string of disturbing public spectacles. A fake film premiere with children as young as 6, a stage funeral with an empty coffin, and a naked stunt involving explosives and a mock BBC van. In this documentary, we dive deep into the twisted psyche of Jhaj, dissecting his crimes through the lens of psychology and psychoanalysis to unravel why he committed these atrocities and how his mind became a breeding ground for such depravity. Why focus on Jacky Jhaj? Because his crimes aren't just horrifying, they're a psychological puzzle that demands unraveling. His ability to manipulate, deceive, and orchestrate large-scale stunts involving vulnerable children reveals a mind both cunning and unhinged, making him a chilling case study for criminal psychology. Picture this: a man who spent £110,000 to rent Disneyland Paris, transforming the fairy tale Sleeping Beauty castle into a stage for a sick fantasy, a mock wedding to a 9-year-old girl, complete with violinists, a towering cake, and 100 extras, many of them children, unaware of the predator in their midst. This wasn't just a stunt. It was a calculated performance of power, a grotesque display of control. He lured kids as young as 6 to fawn over him at a fake Leicester Square premiere, paid actors to mourn a sham funeral, and stood naked amidst explosions, reveling in chaos. Each act was a scream for attention, a twisted cry from a man whose psyche we'll dissect to understand the darkness driving him. Let's step into shadows of Jacky Jhaj's past to understand how a man becomes a monster. Born in West London, Jhaj grew up in Feltham, a working-class suburb where little is publicly known about his childhood, a gap that's telling in itself. In psychoanalysis, early life is a crucible where personality forms, and for someone like Jhaj, the absence of documented trauma doesn't mean it didn't exist. Psychologists often point to attachment theory to explain deviant behavior. A child who experiences inconsistent caregiving or emotional neglect may develop insecure attachment, leading to a desperate need for control and validation later in life. Jhaj's obsession with staging grandiose spectacles, fake premieres, funerals, weddings, screams a man craving adoration, perhaps to fill a void left by early rejection or abandonment. Was he ignored, bullied, abused? We don't have the full picture, but the signs are there. His later behavior suggests a narcissistic personality disorder, characterized by an inflated sense of self, a need for excessive admiration, and a lack of empathy. Narcissists often construct elaborate facades to mask deep insecurities, and Jhaj stunts, each more theatrical than the last, fit this pattern like a glove. He didn't just want attention. He needed to be worshipped, to be the star of his own twisted narrative. Add to this the possibility of antisocial personality traits. Think impulsivity, deceit, and disregard for others' safety, and you've got a recipe for someone who sees people, especially vulnerable children, as props in a sick play. Now, let's confront the ugliest question. Why children? Jhaj's choice of victims, young girls, often prepubescent or barely teens, points to pedophilia, a paraphilic disorder where an adult is sexually attracted to children. The DSM-5 defines pedophilia as recurrent, intense sexual fantasies or behaviors involving prepubescent children, persisting for at least 6 months. Jhaj's 2016 conviction for sexual activity with two 15-year-olds shows this isn't a one-off, it's a pattern. But psychology tells us pedophilia isn't just about sexual desire, it's about power. Children are easier to manipulate, easier to control, and for someone like Jhaj who craved dominance, they were perfect targets. His Disneyland stunt takes this to a new level of horror. Imagine the scene. Dawn breaking over pastel spires of Sleeping Beauty castle, a 9-year-old Ukrainian girl, dressed in a white gown, teetering in high heels taped to her tiny feet, looking scared and confused, as a witness later told Le Parisien. Jhaj, disguised by professional makeup to look younger, stood ready to play the groom, surrounded by 100 extras, a violin trio, and a cake shaped like a Disney castle. This wasn't just a fantasy. It was a meticulously planned spectacle, a public declaration of his obsession. Psychoanalytically, This could be seen as a projection of his inner chaos, an attempt to normalize his deviant desires by cloaking them in a fairy tale setting. He wasn't just grooming a child. He was grooming an audience, forcing them to witness his perversion under the guise of art. Jhaj's crimes weren't impulsive. They were calculated, almost cinematic. Let's break down his methods through a psychological lens. His 2023 Leicester Square stunt saw him hire 90 children and 100 young women to act as fawning fans, some as young as 6, instructed to scream and reach for him as he strutted down a red carpet. The BBC reported that these kids, recruited through reputable casting agencies, had no idea they were pawns in a pedophile's fantasy. This is classic manipulation, a hallmark of psychopathy. Psychopaths, as defined by the Hare Psychopathy Checklist, excel at deceit and charm, using others to achieve their goals without remorse. Jhaj posed as a film producer, a lie he'd used before in 2016 when he lured schoolgirls with promises of Hollywood glamour, only to ply them with alcohol and assault them. Then there's a 2024 fake funeral at the London Oratory where he posed as Clyde, the brother of a missing Latvian man, hiring actors to mourn an empty coffin. The Telegraph reported that the priest stopped the service when he realized it was being filmed and the mourners were fakes. This stunt reveals a sadistic streak. Jhaj didn't just deceive. He reveled in the emotional chaos he caused. Sadism, the enjoyment of others' suffering, often coexists with narcissistic and antisocial traits, and Jhaj's stunts seem designed to provoke shock and distress. His most brazen act came in September 2024, when he filmed himself naked in front of a fake BBC van and Union Jack draped vehicles, setting them ablaze in a stunt that terrified locals per the Daily Mail. This wasn't just attention-seeking. It was a middle finger to society, a defiant act of destruction that screamed, "I am untouchable." Now, let's walk through the Disneyland atrocity, the pinnacle of Jhaj's depravity. The setup was chillingly elaborate. £110,000 to rent the park, a fake Latvian ID to deceive Disney management, and professional makeup to transform Jhaj into a younger groom. The ad, posted by a woman named Crystal Ka, sought 100 children aged 5 to 15 for a prestigious wedding rehearsal, promising €200 per child. The Daily Mail revealed that the event was set to be filmed for social media, with violinists playing, flowers lining the aisle, and a Disney castle cake as a centerpiece. But the illusion shattered when a 55-year-old actor, hired for €12,000 to play the bride's father, saw the 9-year-old girl, scared, unsteady in her oversized heels, and alerted park staff. Witnesses described the scene to Le Parisien. The girl, a Ukrainian national flown in 2 days earlier, looked stunned and confused, her dress swallowing her tiny frame. The actor, Vitalages, told the Telegraph he'd been lied to, expecting to escort the girl's 41-year-old mother, not a child. He broke into the park without a pass, handing a note to Disney staff that triggered police intervention. Jhaj's plan unraveled as officers stormed the scene, arresting him, the girl's mother, and 2 others. French prosecutors noted the girl wasn't physically harmed, but the psychological toll of being paraded as a bride in a pedophile's fantasy is incalculable. This wasn't just a crime. It was a violation of innocence, a deliberate attempt to normalize the unthinkable in the heart of a place meant for joy. What drove Jhaj to these extremes? Let's dig deeper into his psyche. Psychoanalysis suggests the stunts were a form of sublimation, channeling unacceptable impulses into socially acceptable acts like film productions or weddings. But the facade was thin. His obsession with children bled through every performance. His choice of Disneyland, a symbol of childhood wonder, wasn't random. Psychologically, it's a perverse inversion. He corrupted a safe space to stage his fantasy, a classic move for predators who thrive on desecrating purity. His use of disguises and fake identities points to a fragmented sense of self, a hallmark of borderline personality traits, where the individual struggles to maintain a stable identity and resorts to manipulation to feel whole. Jhaj's need for an audience, whether screaming fans, fake mourners, or social media viewers, suggests a pathological need for external validation. In narcissistic terms, he was feeding his false self, a grandiose persona that masked his shame and inadequacy. But there's more. His stunts escalated in scale and audacity, from a local premiere to an international spectacle at Disneyland. This escalation mirrors addiction models in psychology, where the individual needs increasingly intense stimuli to achieve the same high. For Jhaj, the high was control, the thrill of orchestrating chaos and escaping consequences, until he didn't. The voices of those caught in Jhaj's web paint a haunting picture. A teenage girl at the 2023 Leicester Square event told the BBC she was horrified when she learned Jhaj was a pedophile, having been paid to scream and reach for him. A parent at a 2024 dance audition recognized him from the BBC's investigation and filmed him giving gift to children, a chilling echo of his 2016 grooming tactics. The family of one of his 2016 victims told the BBC he destroyed her life, with a video of her exploitation lingering on YouTube for 4 years, racking up millions of views. These accounts reveal the ripple effect of his crimes, the trauma inflicted not just on direct victims, but on everyone pulled into his orbit. Police reports and media coverage underscore the scale of his deception. The Metropolitan Police confirmed Jhaj was wanted for breaching his sexual harm prevention order, a restriction meant to limit his access to children. French prosecutors charged him with fraud, breach of trust, money laundering, and identity theft, noting his use of a fake Latvian ID to secure Disneyland. The BBC's investigation revealed his YouTube channel, styled as an official performers page, had 12 million subscribers and 6 million views, amplifying his reach and his harm. Each stunt was a calculated middle finger to the systems meant to stop him, a predator exploiting loopholes in plain sight. Jhaj's reign of terror ended abruptly on June 22, 2025, when Disneyland staff and a vigilant actor foiled his mock wedding. Arrested at the scene, he faced a judge in Meaux, France, and was remanded in custody, charged with multiple offenses. The Metropolitan Police, already hunting him for breaching his sex offender obligations, are now liaising with French authorities. His fate hangs in the balance, likely a return to prison, this time with international scrutiny. But the end of his story isn't just about bars and shackles. It's a philosophical question about evil, control, and the human need for meaning. From a philosophical lens, Jhaj's life can be seen through existentialism, a man grappling with meaningless existence, creating his own twisted purpose through spectacle and domination. Sartre's concept of bad faith applies here. Jhaj lived in denial of his moral responsibility, constructing a false narrative where he was a star, not a predator. Yet his actions also reflect Nietzsche's will to power, a drive to assert dominance over others to compensate for inner weakness. His downfall, then, is a kind of poetic justice. The man who craved control lost it all when his carefully crafted illusion collapsed under the weight of his own depravity. As we close this grim chapter, the question lingers. How did Jacky Jhaj slip through the cracks for so long? His story is a chilling reminder of the gaps in our systems, casting agencies that didn't vet him, social media platforms that amplified his crimes, and a society that failed to protect its most vulnerable. Psychologically, he's a case study in narcissism, psychopathy, and pedophilia, a man whose need for power and adoration drove him to unspeakable acts. Philosophically, he's a warning. Unchecked desires, cloaked in spectacle, can fester into monstrosity. The image of a 9-year-old in a wedding dress, trembling under the shadow of a Disney castle, will haunt us long after Jhaj's name fades. And that's the point, his crimes aren't just his. They're a mirror, forcing us to confront the darkness we'd rather ignore.